Hello, this is Dave from To The Table, a series of videos where I review and discuss various board and card games, looking at them from a family perspective. Today I'm going to be doing a preview of the latest project from Gnome Games called Four Tribes. Four Tribes is a two-player, medieval-themed strategic card game. In this game, you and your opponent each represent a different faction, and you are fighting against each other, but you've come to a stalemate, and you need a little bit of help. And how are you going to get this help? From the four tribes that are occupying the river that is dividing the two lands between you. And how are you going to get their help? You are going to meet their needs and try to win the favor of the village elders. Let's take a look at this game and how it's played, and I'll come back and I will give you my thoughts. The components shown here are a representation of what will actually come in a copy of Four Tribes. For the purpose of this video, I am using an advanced prototype version of the game. The initial components that come with the game will be 16 village elders, 4 of each in 4 different colors, 3 longhouse cards, 6 two-sided village cards, 50 village houses, 12 of each in 4 colors, and 2 black ones which will be wilds, and 2 36 card army decks, and 1 brown storage bag. I went ahead and set up the game board so that you can see what it will look like at the start of the game. First, I took one of the longhouse cards and I placed it over to the side, and that is where the village elders will be kind of hanging out during the gameplay. Next, I took the 6 village cards and I randomly placed them in a row, linking them together, and it forms a river down the middle. It does not make any difference which side of the village card is face up, or what color is showing, or the order of which they are placed, as it offers no advantage during gameplay. Next, I took each of the village cards has a colored circle on there that represents the village elder that will need to be influenced. For example, this one is red, so I placed 1 red village elder there. And I went through and did that for each of the 6 cards. I also took my bag of village houses and I shook them up and I randomly placed them. I placed them on each of the village cards themselves. For example, this card right here, if you notice, there are 3 squares on there that represents the need for 3 village houses. So I drew 3 random village houses and I placed them on there. And those represent the various needs that that village is going to need. And those are the needs that we're going to try to deliver to that village to influence the village elder and gain his support. Next, each player received 1 longhouse card for themselves, as well as a 36 card army deck. Inside these army decks, there are various cards with different values, different colors that we will be playing in order to influence the village elders. There are some cards that are black, that are wild, and they offer special abilities. Each of the decks are identical, so the players have the same cards. We'll take a look at how the game is played. So I've gone ahead and reset up Four Tribes and I've gotten it ready for play. And there's a couple things that I wanted to point out before we get started. And first of all, has to do with the village cards themselves. If you notice that each of the village cards has a different number of village houses that are on them, and they're different colors. And I wanted to explain that. First of all, in this card here, for example, there are 3 village houses that are on there, meaning that I'm going to have to play 3 cards there in order to win the favor of that village elder. The 3 colors represent the types of needs that that village has, and that what we need to bring to win the favor of the village elder. So, for example, here we're going to need to play 2 blue cards and 1 green card in order to meet those needs. And so on and so forth down the way here. Some of the cards have less. For example, down here there are a couple of villages that may only have 2 village houses and some that have 4. Also, we have one of the houses out here is a black house, and that is a wild, and meaning that that village house can meet any need. So we can play any color card in order to meet that need. We don't necessarily need to play a black card. So once we've got that set up, each player will determine who goes first, and then we'll draw 6 cards from our army deck, and this is my opening hand here. And if you can see in here, I have cards of varying colors and varying values. And I'll place them down here face up so that you can see as I explain the gameplay. And then also I have some back here for my opponent. I will determine that I am the first player. And so what I'm going to do is from my hand, I am going to play this blue 7 here on this village to try and win his favor. After I've done that, I will draw a card and I will put it into my hand. The opposite player will now go and they will play a card from their hand and they will place it somewhere on the board. For example, this one here will play a red 6 here. They don't necessarily have to play against each other at the time, but we can place cards as we go along. And this is going to go back and forth, playing cards and trying to get to win the favor of the village elders. We will not be able to score a card until the need requirements are met by both sides. And I will explain that to you right now. So I've progressed some gameplay along here, and I want to show you how a village is scored. If we look at this village card in particular, we need the requirement of 1 red and 1 green card. The player opposite me has placed a green 6 and a red number 3 for a total value of 9. Myself, I have a green 3 in my hand, and I'm going to play another card from my hand in an attempt to score. Looking at my hand here, I happen to have a red 7, which I'm going to place right here, and I'll draw my card. Now, we have met the requirements for this village, and now it's time to determine who's going to gain the favor of the village elder. The player opposite me has 9 points, whereas I have 10 points. Therefore, I win the village elder's favor. What I will do is I will discard my 2 cards, place them in a discard pile, along with the opponent's cards. I will take this village elder and I will place him over in my longhouse, which I have off to the side, and I will discard these 2 village houses. I will then in turn take the card and flip it over and place a new village elder there that happens to be red, and then from my bag I will in turn draw 4 new village houses to set up the next set of needs that need to be met. This play is going to continue until one player gains the favor of 3 village elders of the same color or 1 of each of the different village elders. Next, I'm going to explain to you the special cards that come in 4 tribes. I wanted to talk about these special cards that come in 4 tribes. And they are the Sanctuary, the Guardian, the Dragon, and the Catapult. If you notice, 3 of the 4 types of special cards are black, so they are not only are they a wild where they can be placed anywhere, they also have special effects. For example, if you were to play a Sanctuary on one of your village cards on your side of the board, it says place this card on your side of any village and your opponent may not place any of their own cards on your side. The Sanctuary will protect you from playing a card like the Dragon. Secondly, the Guardian, it says place this card on your side of the village and you may remove any one card from that side of the village or any adjacent village. So you can use the Guardian to drive away a card like the Dragon. Now let me talk about the Dragon card here because he's pretty nasty. And there are 8 of them in each army deck. There are 2 of each color, and they are values of 1 and 2. And this card is unique in that it can be played on either side of the village itself. You can play it on your own side, or you can play it on your opponent's side. Why you would want to play it on your own side, I don't know why. Maybe you need to do it in an attempt to get something scored to win the game. But usually you'll use this to kind of attack your opponent. And what this says is the Dragon may be played on either side of a village. And what you will do is, depending on the color, for example, this one is blue, you can play it on the opposites, on your opponent's side of the board. If there is a need for a blue and it has not been met yet, you could play that 1 on there and lock it in, and they only have a value of 1. It's going to be very difficult for them to score a lot more points to win the favor of that village elder. And then finally, the catapult says, place this card on either side of a village, and you may remove any card you wish from that other side of the same village. So you can play this one also on either side of the village card, and you could use the catapult and maybe give them a value of 4, and you can probably play some other cards to bring it really low. In addition, you can maybe use it to remove a dragon on your side, or you can place it on your side with the number 4, and you may use the catapult to remove one of their high value cards on the opposite side in an attempt to gain more favor and win the village elder's favor and score. These are the special cards that come with 4 tribes. Right now, there are some added cards that will be coming up depending upon various stretch goals during the Kickstarter campaign. So that was 4 tribes and how it was played. Now let me give you my thoughts. 4 Tribes is a strategic card game, and with this being the latest edition in the Gnome Games library, it follows suit with being consistent in simple gameplay mechanics, yet depth and strategy and how the game fares out in the end. The game itself lends to a few different things in terms of strategic play, and that is going to be how you're going to manage your hand and how you're going to try to play your cards and win the favor of the village elders. Are you going to specifically try and get one village at a time and use cards in your hand such as the dragon or the catapult to remove specific cards on the other side of the board? Or are you going to spread out your cards a little more strategically and kind of see a little bit more how you go through your army deck, if you can kind of have a broader spectrum and kind of maybe prolong the game a little bit rather than going for a quick win? You do have a couple of options in this game to win, and that's going to be either you're going to win the favor of 3 village elders of the same, or one of each. So you have a variety of strategy. Looking at this game from a family perspective, there's a couple of cool things that this game presents to itself. Number one is the element of playing against each other in a simple, fun combat game. You can kind of have some fun kind of interacting with one another verbally, as well as playing cards and laughing at them as you're like, ha ha ha, I just used a dragon, and now I'm going to basically make you have a low score and I'm going to steal the village elder. Another thing that's really good, especially for younger players, and you're looking to improve some math skills, is looking at this game, being able to add up the numbers, and then quickly being able to identify greater than, less than. So this is really good for younger players, and implementing this game into either a homeschooling program or some kind of added supplement for math for younger players. Another thing with four Tribes that I think can be done for younger players is to get this game and use it as a way for younger players to recognize colors and match colors. Instead of using the mathematical values that are on the cards, you could scale this game down to whoever gets those three colors first will win. So there is a little bit of variety in how you could play Four Tribes even with younger players. Now for older players and more experienced gamers, this game is a lot like a game that you may have already played before called Balloon Cup, or which has now been re-implemented as Pinata by Rio Grande Games. Has a similar mechanic of playing cards that have to match specific colors and then trying to score. So if you like two-player medieval-themed strategic card games and Four Tribes appeals to you, you can go ahead and back this project on Kickstarter. Alright, thank you for watching, and join me again next time as we look at another game and see how it can make it to the table.